Hi class. So today we're going to have a really fun time. We're going to be learning about tornadoes and hurricanes and lots of fun stuff. Before we get to that, I want you guys to do a do now for me. I want to see how well you guys remember what we learned yesterday. Remember we had that awesome lesson about tsunamis? So I want you to answer some questions. I'm going to give out some index cards. And I want you to answer the questions that I'm going to put on the board, and I'm going to give you about 5 minutes, and then I'm going to collect them, and I'll grade them later, okay? And we'll see how you did. So first question that I want to know is, what is a tsunami? You all know that. We talked about it at great length yesterday. I want to know, how does it start? And I also want to know, what are some possible causes of a tsunami? So if there are things that you don't understand or you don't remember, that's totally fine. Just write it on the card, okay? Perfect. Okay, so now that we've done that, I want to get to today's lesson. So we're going to learn about, like I said, tornadoes and hurricanes, which are natural disasters. They could be pretty catastrophic. They could cause a lot of damage to people, to cities, to property, lots of stuff. But it's important to know a lot of facts and information about these disasters so that we could prevent them, we could cope with them if they were to happen, and we could know what to do in these types of situations. It's very important. Okay, so I also want to, I want us to know enough about hurricanes and tornadoes so that we'll be able to compare them and to contrast them. I want us to be able to do that by the end of today, okay? Alright, so this is what we're going to do first. I want to know what you guys know, okay? So I want to know, what do you know about hurricanes and tornadoes? I want you to, again, I'm gonna pass out cards, I know, again, but one more time, I'm going to give out these cards, and I want you to write 3 points about hurricanes and 3 points about tornadoes. The points could be facts that you know, they could be questions that you have, anything. And don't be afraid to write. If it's wrong, that's fine. If we do this lesson and you find out that what you thought is not really true, that's fine. That's what learning's about. So that's great, actually. Okay, so give you a few minutes. I want you to do that. Okay. Okay, so now that we've done that, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to present some information to you. I want to give you guys a little bit of a lesson so that I can tell you some facts and explain some things to you, and then we'll start doing some hands-on work, okay? So, first of all, it's important to know, of course, what is a tornado, right? Okay, so the definition of a tornado is a rapidly spinning tube of air that touches both the ground and a cloud above, okay? Also, sometimes you may have heard the word twister. That's the same thing, okay? So a tornado is sometimes called a twister. Not all tornadoes are visible. So sometimes there could be a tornado that we don't see, but it's still there, okay? And the thing is, with tornadoes, they have high wind speeds and rapid rotation, meaning that they spin very fast, okay? And they often form a visible funnel of condensed water. So it might look like a funnel, okay? So picture a funnel in your mind, okay? And inside the funnel is condensed water, okay? So that's, in essence, that's what a tornado is, okay? Another important thing to know is that when a tornado hits, wherever it hits, whatever place it hits, the weather people need to know, how big was this tornado, right? Because they need to be able to measure it, all right? So was it a little tornado? Was it a major tornado, right? So how do we measure that? We don't just use words like little and big. That's not, an educated way to measure a tornado. So there has to be a scale, just like with anything else. There always has to be a scale. So the scale is called the Fujita scale, and that is the way that they measure the strength of tornadoes, okay? So the scale ranges from an F0 tornado, which is a tornado that causes minimal damage. Okay, so we're not talking about a lot of damage. A little tornado, basically, in layman's terms. And the biggest, most powerful tornado would be an F5 tornado. Okay, and that can cause massive damage. Okay. Another thing that I want you to understand is what causes a tornado. Okay. So most tornadoes form from thunderstorms. Okay, so you need warm, moist air, and you need cool, dry air, and they need to mix together, and that's what's going to make a tornado. Okay, so basically mixing of opposite types of air come together, you're going to get a tornado. Okay, so because what happens is when those two types of airs come together, they cause instability in the atmosphere. Okay, so the atmosphere is not stable, and then you can get a tornado. Okay, so a change in the wind direction and an increase in wind speed, okay, creates an invisible horizontal. Remember horizontal? Remember we learned that? Horizontal is this way, right? Like the horizon. Okay, that's how you could remember the difference between horizontal and vertical. Okay, so horizontal spinning effect in the lower atmosphere. Okay, so it's an invisible, which means we can't see it. Horizontal, remember, like the horizon, spinning effect in the lower atmosphere. Okay, rising air tilts the rotating air from horizontal, okay, to vertical. Okay, so now the air has been shifted from horizontal to vertical. Okay, and then there is an area of rotation, which could be 2 to 6 miles wide. Okay, 2 to 6 miles wide. That's big. Okay, that's very big. So in that area of rotation, that's where these tornadoes can form. So it's basically, they're saying this amount of space, within that amount of space, that's where the tornadoes could form. Okay, so that's called, what is that called? The area of rotation. Okay. All right, now I want to just give you guys a few facts about tornadoes. Okay. So most tornadoes have wind speeds less than 100 miles per hour. Okay. Extreme tornadoes could reach wind speeds over 300 miles per hour. So there are some tornadoes that are so severe and so major that the wind could be faster than 300 miles per hour. Okay. Think about how fast that is. That is extremely fast. Okay, think about when your mom or your dad is driving you to school in the morning. They're probably driving about 35 to 40 miles per hour when there's no traffic. We hope. Okay, so let's say 35 miles per hour. Can you imagine 300 miles per hour? That's really, really fast. Okay. Most tornadoes travel a few miles before they exhaust themselves and end. So basically, a tornado is spinning. Okay. And it's moving, okay? So if it's a powerful tornado, it could just be moving and destroying whatever is in its path, okay? Extreme tornadoes could travel for over 100 miles. So we're talking about major damage. A lot of houses could be destroyed. A whole city could be destroyed, okay? So talking about clockwise and counterclockwise. I'm sure you all remember that. We learned that at the beginning of the year. Clockwise means, let's just refresh our memories. Clockwise, going in the direction of the clock. Okay? And counterclockwise is, right, the other way. Okay? The opposite direction of the clock. That's how you could remember it. Okay? Counter means against. So, against the clock. Okay? So remember the hemispheres, right? There's a northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere on the earth. So in the northern hemisphere, the tornadoes usually move in a counterclockwise direction. In the southern hemisphere, they're going to move in a clockwise direction, okay? There's also just a fun fact. There's a tornado that could occur over water, okay? And that has a special name that's called a waterspout. It's kind of a funny name, but it's a waterspout because it's occurring over water, not over land. Okay? So, these are all about tornadoes, right? But I also said that we were going to learn about hurricanes. So, let's just talk a little bit about hurricanes, okay? And we're going to move on to some more interesting stuff, okay? So, what's a hurricane? A hurricane is a type of a tropical cyclone, okay? It's just like cyclone, like the roller coaster, okay? It's called that for a reason. Yeah, it's something that is pretty wild, that roller coaster, right? So maybe that's where they got the name. Tropical cyclones have a collection of thunderstorms and clouds, okay? And they, back to what we said before, they spiral counterclockwise in the northern hemisphere around a center of low pressure, okay? So in the center, where it's low pressure, okay? These powerful forces of nature bring flooding rain, strong winds, damaging storm surge, and sometimes tornadoes. Okay, so basically, what is a hurricane? It brings a lot of rain. Okay, I'm talking about rain that causes flooding. So that's like heavy, heavy rain, very strong winds. Okay, and a damaging storm surge.